So welcome back to the Bootleg Corner. It is movie review hours and episode 2 of The Penguin just dropped, and I've been anticipating this episode ever since the last one, and believe me, the wait hasn't been easy. But moving on, we are back to Gotham and Oswald's schemes have finally borne fruit. It is nearly all out war with the Maronis and Falcons, but it still needs a little bit more than Alberto's death to kickstart this thing, because right now, from the perspective of the Falcons, it seems that the Maronis have done them a favor because they are in no hurry to exact revenge. Mr. Falcon was the only member of the Falcon family who was really respected, and like I said before, no one really respects Alberto, and him inheriting the mantle of mob boss would have been a hard pill to swallow for these guys. Sofia Falcon learns all this in a matter of moments when she realizes that the family is now more worried about money than reputation, because normally in the crime world there should be no way, absolutely no way, a high-ranking family member can be killed by rivals and yet no repercussions are coming. So she takes matters into her own hands by finding a crooked police officer to hunt down any Maroni soldiers. For Oswald, killing Alberto was just the first step. The next is the transport of the drops. I mean, if the family are going to put him out of business, the least he can do is make sure they have no business at all. Now, when I saw him meeting with the Maronis and there were so many people there, I was quite confused because I thought his betrayal would be kept on the low, with only the high-ranking guys knowing about it, because I can't really think about a benefit to the entire Maroni crew knowing his identity as the mole in the Falcon family. Also, I had thought that the Maroni were Italian by descent, but hearing them speak Farsi, I sounded out the Maroni name in my head and realized that it also felt like an Arabian name too. But moving on, his transport time, Oswald has set up nicely for the hijack, only to have VT and the bosses change its plans. So Oswald is now in the main truck designated for attack, and his Maroni accomplices do not know that plans have changed. But then, what is a penguin that fears the cold? Oswald finds a way to get into the back, shoot the two security guards, and nearly dies himself from the diver's bullets during the ambush. He then makes a great show of shooting back at the attackers before rescuing Castillo, and so his mission is successful. But back at the Falcon home, it is chaos, although now there are two insults upon them which cannot be ignored, but for some reason the bosses are still slow to act. Sofia Falcon is frustrated with these guys. First they kill her brother, and now they steal their drugs. I mean, how much will it take for the Falcon boss and VT to respond? And she knows this hijack couldn't have happened without a mole on their side, and even when she floats this idea to them, they are still counseling patients and dismissing her opinions. Now it is both a mixture of her gender, being a woman, so they pay no heed to whatever she says, and then her mental state, because she has been in Arkham for so many years after killing multiple women. So their misogyny and her mental imbalance provide the perfect excuse to treat her like trash. But Sofia chooses to do things her way, and if striking back at the enemies isn't a priority for the bosses, it is for her. While she's still stewing in her anger, along comes Penguin trying to blow her up with claims of loyalty, and then within that same time frame, he's also pushing hard, trying to get into Sofia's good books. And even me watching from the screen, I can't help but shake my head. Push, but don't get ahead of yourself. And doing too much in his first attempt at solidarity only ends up ruining whatever progress he had made, and Sofia felt it too. But next up is a really pivotal sequence for the next chapter of this series, and involves Victor Aguila. Oswald depended heavily on him to set up VT with the diamonds he had stolen from Alberto Falcon, and then Oswald was to convince the captured Maroni soldier to point out VT as the mole of the family. But Victor wasn't ready yet. He was jittering and unsure of himself, and he fails to plant the briefcase. So Oswald had to adapt once again by killing the captured guy, although I am unsure how he is going to explain the death of this guy to the Maronis, because they were expecting him back alive. But what's done is done. Oswald has his plan changed again, and even at that, I still have some questions. Now, I am no blood expert, but I expected a lot more blood to spray on on Oswald's fingers and his coat while he stabbed the man with the knife. It is either he's very much accustomed to killing and he can do it with minimal evidence, or the writers just wrote it that way to wrap up the scene. Because watching him use a rag to wipe up the blood stains from his hand and everything came off easily, no blood splatter on his white shirt or coat, let me just say I am not really cool with that sequence. But next thing we know, the bosses find out that the captive has been murdered and they are rounding up everyone for a proper shot, because the logic is that the killer will still have the weapon. Now, rationally looking at the situation from the outside, why would the killer keep the murder weapon on their person, especially when they are still around the vicinity of the murder? And it is not like the killer will be walking around with a bloody knife with blood still dripping from it or something. What if they found knives on multiple people? Which one would they suspect? Because as it is, it seemed my projections were all for nothing, as Oswald was the only one with a knife, even though he had cleaned it up after the murder. One surprise though was Viti being included in the search. He's the underboss of the family, and I thought he would be above such things, but then clearly not. Anyway, Oswald once again adjusts to the situation, picks up a fight with Viti just before he gets searched, and finds a way to dispose his knife inside his jacket. So I was very much surprised when Viti was searched and came up clean. Then I got another surprise when Castillo got searched and the knife was found in his pocket. And here I have to applaud the writer of this episode, because I did not see that coming at all. But then for Castillo, whose real name is Beto Colon, when will he catch a break? He got cooked in the Power universe, and now barely 2 seconds in the Penguin universe, he is taking up the map once again. But then this is the result of working with crooks. You have to protect yourself at all times, not just from your enemies, but also from your family. Oswald and Victor get the job of burying the bodies, and here Oswald gives Victor a really hard, scared, straight speech. Like I said in episode 1, Victor is no longer in the little leagues where stealing things to sell was the biggest thing possible. Now it is killing and killing your way to the top of the city's crime family, and any stuttering of any sort means you get killed. You want to run with the wolves, you better howl like one. Victor has been way too soft for this life so far, and I will be watching him closely to see if there is any improvement in his behavior. And he better know that the Penguin will have no problems dropping him the moment it is convenient, because that is just what their lives are at the moment. But in the end, with the way things have gone, Sofia has seen her right-hand man betray her and get killed for it, so she wants and needs all the help she can get. Oswald has been offering his support to her, so why not take it? But I am still unsure if she believes Castillo really betrayed her, or if she's also playing her cards close to her chest. But we will be watching the next episode to see how all this plays out. So now, questions to end the episode. How do the Maronis respond to Harry's death? Do the Drops business still get moved to Robbinsville, or does the Penguin get his business back? Who dies next among the Falcons? And finally, have you subscribed to this channel? And that's a wrap on this episode. Hit me with your thoughts in the comment section. Don't forget to share and subscribe. Keep it locked in, and I'll be back.